our, what do we call it? Examination of what was a really up and down, topsy-turvy season for Everton. It started so well, a lot of promise from Everton. Finished 10th in the end. Really keen to kind of understand what Everton fans think about the season as a whole, where the club's going, the direction. I think the club's going in the right direction. New stadium, etc. Good manager. Let's welcome in Thomas Robertson from the Toffee's Blues podcast. Thomas, sum it up for me if you can. How would you describe and grade this season?
It's been a bit of a disappointing, and to be brutally honest, we know we had that fantastic start. That was very publicised, but since then it's been very, very on and off, and we really haven't kind of justified European football. Obviously, we were nowhere near it in the end. Finishing 10th on the final day is a real kick in the teeth, to be honest. But after that good run of form at the start of the season, it's been very patchy since then. I don't think any fans really expected us to get European football. We all wanted it. We all thought we needed it, but at this point, it is quite disappointing. So early signs of the season were absolutely brilliant, but at this point, it is a real kick in the teeth to finish below the likes of Arsenal and Leeds, who, I mean, obviously Leeds newly promoted side. Arsenal, we know they've had a poor season, and all of a sudden now we're in 10th. So yeah, very, very disappointing today.
You kind of wonder why, right? Because I mean, look, you've got a top manager. When I think of sort of the top managers in the Premier League, obviously everyone will point to the likes of Guardiola and Klopp, but I mean, when it comes to success, I mean, he's right up there with both, right? I mean, only Guardiola has more trophies than Carlo Ancelotti. So you've got a top manager. You spent some big money, like you have been doing the last few seasons, but on some good players as well. I think Ben Godfrey, fantastic player that can play anywhere along the back line. Alan, can give you that kind of, I thought, energy and a bit of grit in the midfield, something I think you've lacked. Doucouré came in, James Rodriguez. So the squad's there. The manager's there, the investment's there. So you kind of wonder why it fell off a cliff so early in the season.
It is an interesting one. You can tell with our transfer strategy last summer, we were going for success instantly. In the past, we've tried to maybe sign young players. That didn't work. We've also tried to sign players who, maybe are just looking for a payday, some of that from the higher up clubs that no longer playing there. We've decided to go and pick them up. That hasn't worked. But this time, we were looking at really high quality players. Alan, we're still having a very good season for Napoli. We know Ben Godfrey got relegated. Of course, he's a bit of an exception. James Rodriguez, Ade Oladipo, these are all players that aren't necessarily, they're not young by any means, but they've still kind of entering the prime of their careers. And I think the idea behind that was to have this instant success. And at the end of the day, that didn't work. I think now the squad's clearly not complete. I think Marcel Brands and everyone knew that last season, and money was always going to be tight, but it's another massive summer for us again. And I'm getting a bit tired of saying that because, of course, we kind of just say this every year that it's a massive summer, we need to make investment, and that gets a bit tiring after a while. But a lot of the general consensus amongst the Everton fans, is that we need young and hungry players. We've got a lot of players still in the squad that, I mean, the likes of Fabian Delph, the likes of Gylfi Sigurdsson, they're on very high wages. They're maybe past the peak of their careers now, and what are they still playing for? A lot of people want young, hungry players with a lot of desire, and it'll be interesting to see how Brands and Ancelotti tackle that this summer. Yeah,
you kind of wonder if it's going to be more of a clear out than sort of bringing players in, because I agree with you. I think there's a lot of players I just don't think are good enough for what I think Everton should be, which is the top 6, top 8 club. I think Everton should be pushing for Europe every single season, and I think there are players there that maybe just aren't good enough for that next step. An interesting one, I think Carlo Ancelotti's done well. I know, contrary to you being 10th, I can see what he's trying to do, but I was surprised with the Josh King move, because I think we all saw that if Dominic Calvert-Lewin gets injured, who's going to score the goals? I think Richarlison started to get a few, but I don't think he's really stepped up this season. There's who's going to score the goals? And you brought Josh King in. I remember him coming in. I remember Carlo Ancelotti saying he's not coming in to score goals. I was like, well, what's he coming in for then? To sell shirts? You need a backup striker. And when Dominic Calvert-Lewin was out injured, no one was there to get the goals.
Yeah, absolutely. The Josh King move was a very strange one. We knew we needed a backup striker. Moise Keane, of course, left on loan at PSG earlier on in the year. Then Cenk Tosun was injured. He wasn't really the backup, but he was the only other striker we had for a while. And we knew we needed someone. For some reason, we left it to past the final hour of the deadline in January. It was a very bizarre one. The club had months to know that they needed that backup striker. They ended up going for Josh King. You could see why at the time he had done well for Bournemouth. But if you looked at his, the start of the season this season for Bournemouth, he didn't want to be there. There was clearly, his attitude wasn't there with them in the Championship. He clearly wanted the move. There was a lot of linking him with Fulham. I bet he probably wishes he'd gone to Fulham now. He would have played a lot more football. And maybe their season would have gone slightly differently if they had him, banging form. But it's clear to see that was just a waste of time, a waste of money. It's a massive disappointment, to be honest, because the summer business was, so fantastic, and all of those players instantly improved the squad. But Josh King was just a really weird one, and I think he only got 138 minutes. I don't know if that's exact, but it was a very strange one.
Yeah, strange. Final question. Obviously, look, I remember the time when there was a big 2, there's a big 4. Now you could easily say there's a big 6, maybe even big 7 with Leicester. Are you in danger of just completely falling out of this? I mean, it's not easy, is it, to get into that big 7? Does the chairman have to fork out another 150 million, 100 million to even just get you into the big 6, big 7?
I think what we've seen, to be honest, this season, that the whole big 6, big 7 idea is maybe just out the window now. There's a lot of fluidity. We've seen West Ham come in and out of it all season.
Yeah.
They finished in the top 6. Arsenal, of course, are out of it. Leicester are up there. To be honest, I think that whole concept is possibly gone, and I think it's impossible to maybe fall out of it when it's less structured as it has been for the past, 3 or 4 years when this whole notion was kind of created. But it's clear to see now it's a lot more fluid. I don't think we're going to fall out of it. We're clearly heading in the right direction. Maybe we're moving slower than some fans wanted. It's a clear improvement from last season. It's a clear improvement from previous seasons under other managers, the likes of the win at Anfield, breaking the top 6 curse away. That kind of idea that other managers wouldn't have achieved that at the end of the day. And maybe people wanted more instant success with Ancelotti, but we can tell we're going in the right direction. It's just massively frustrating now at the end of the season to actually just wind up in 10th and only 2 places higher than last season.
Yeah, let's see what happens at the start of next season. Who stays, who goes. Thomas, honestly, really appreciate you coming on there. Thomas Robertson, host of the Toffee's Blues podcast. Look, disappointing season for Everton, I think. 10th, I just don't think with what they spend, the players they've got, it's just good enough. But like you said, they are going in the right direction. New stadium coming as well. So it'll be interesting to see what happens at the start of next season.